That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about the 78th Venice Film Festival, which just wrapped up this weekend that I attended.
Yeah, you were gone for about 10 days. Mm-hmm. You returned 2 days ago. No, yesterday, actually. Mm-hmm. So you're going to tell us, you talked more in depth about it on the podcast.
Sure.
But I thought it'd be nice to make a video.
That's my signal to be short and
keep it short. So if you want to hear more, the podcast has more. But I thought it'd be fun to do another video where you talk about best, worst, or like favorite, most disappointing. I know there are a few films you saw that were like highly anticipated. So
yeah.
You should mention those. But I'll let you organize it how you want in a timely fashion.
Okay, so yeah, the out of competition titles that were big studio productions that they had, most of which were, I thought, kind of disappointing. On the better end was The Last Duel.
With Matt Damon.
Matt Damon with a, you need to put a picture of the Sandrine Bonnaire bangs that I think he has.
The mullet,
from the Lost Ceremony.
And Ben Affleck's hair's...
And Ben Affleck's hair's problem. And Adam Driver. It's a very clunky Rashomon-style rape drama, medieval drama. But by the time we get to the titular duel, the tension has kind of sluggishly, but finally gotten to a place where it makes the investment almost worth it. Okay. Dune is also, I think, worthwhile, on the worthwhile end. I had some issues with it, but I don't think you can view it as a complete film because it's very much half of Frank Herbert's novel, and really does require the scope that Villeneuve has made for this film requires probably 3 films that aren't guaranteed to get made unless this one gets made, unless this makes money. So we could end up with this very weird, awkward Dune for this generation that's maybe a little less comprehensive than David Lynch's failed 1984 version. But anyway, that said, it is kind of a beautiful, dark spectacle that does a really decent job of parsing through this world and laying it out for us. But that said, as it stands, it's just kind of, it feels like a prologue or exposition.
Okay.
Also disappointing. I was very disappointed in Halloween Kills for many various reasons, mainly the dialogue, putting Jamie Lee on the back burner, failing to further kind of the Michael Myers mythos at all, which is where you would have to do this because there's Halloween Ends coming next year. So all this talk about evil dies tonight, which you can see in the trailer.
We know it's not dying tonight.
We know it's not dying tonight.
Unless, does Halloween Kills take place in one night?
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe the next one is the same night and he does die.
I don't know. I really wish they would move past that night because now we're tethered to October 31st, 2018 if we keep staying there.
My God.
Just go forward. So that I thought was disappointing. I really didn't like Last Night in Soho from Edgar Wright.
You didn't like that film?
No, it's in which we already talked about in the podcast.
Well, I'm producing.
Well, Joseph just saw the preview finally for that today and didn't connect that I was bitching about it on the podcast.
No, I didn't.
Yes, it's a very empty-headed, beautifully filmed giallo wannabe, at least visually, that's dealing.
I will say the trailer didn't catch my attention.
It didn't?
No, I thought it seemed tedious.
And the film does feel that way. It's a very pseudo-feminist horror film that does feature some great actors that were, in their heyday or about to be in their heyday in the 60s, including Rita Tushingham, Diana Rigg in I think it's her last performance before she died last year, and Terrence Stamp.
It does have a lady in it who looks like a bug, and I do like her.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
I think that's
who's
right.
The flashback to the 60s.
Yes, I do like her.
Yes, and I do like the lead, whose name is escaping me right now.
I'll just flash her picture.
Anyway, she was in Jojo Rabbit. She's in all kinds of stuff. But everybody's fine in it. I just don't think Edgar Wright really kind of knows how to write genre, at least in a way that has to have tension and make sense. But And there were 3 Italian films. The Italian press went crazy for all of the Italian films in the competition. And Sorrentino's won the Grand Jury Prize for second place. And that was probably the best of those in competition. But I had some issues with that too. And it's another kind of Fellini ripoff, specifically of Amarcord this time around. But I really hated Mario Martone's and hated... I trying to get away from using that to sound...
well, you just did.
I just did. I strongly disliked The King of Laughter, Freaks Out, and America Latina, a title which I'm still kind of flabbergasted by. I know Latina is the district in Italy that they're talking about, but I really don't know where America fits in there. I'm sure someone will enlighten me eventually. I didn't research it and didn't review it because immediately after watching it, I wanted to forget it. So what are we just talking about? What I like the most now?
Yeah, quickly, we can talk about pictures you really liked.
Like my top 10.
Top 10? Okay.
Or you want me to do top 5?
Well, did you do top 10 in the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, you can do top 5. You got to give people something to, you know.
Okay.
If you want to hear 6 through 10, you go to the podcast.
Anyway.
What are you going to suggest?
I feel like with that kind of rhetoric, with that approach, you would want the reveal to be 1 through 5 are here.
Then do 6 through 10 then. Go ahead.
But then that doesn't make sense if people are just watching the video and it's standalone. So it really should be 1 through 5. So I'll do 1 through 5.
Okay.
Venice is not like Cannes, and audience are more or less kind of polite, like in Toronto. You don't hear boos in Toronto. So this was my first Venice, but I've been well aware that people don't boo. They booed at this movie, which I guess I can understand why, because it's a very difficult film and it was just a little over the halfway point.
This is your number 5?
My number 5, Reflection by Valentyn Vasyanovych. Third feature, he broke out with his 2019 film Atlantis, which was set in the near distant future, dealing with PTSD and an ongoing war. And this is set in November 2014, when the ongoing war that's still ongoing between the Ukraine and the Russian-backed separatists was just going underway. And it's kind of the story of 2 men that are mirror images of one another in a way. And the film sets up a lot of these juxtapositions of mirror images, of reflections, and is kind of a microcosm of PTSD for the country as a whole. Lots of very long shots that are kind of punishing, that are followed by a first half hour that's basically torture porn. It's a very difficult film. It ends on a kind of an enigmatic note that I think is also drilling down into kind of our individuality. But anyhow, that I enjoyed that film.
Number 4.
Number 4, Official Competition, directed by Mariano Cohn and Gastón Duprat, which Argentinian filmmakers. It's starring Penelope Cruz, Oscar Martinez, and Antonio Banderas. Kind of a 3-hand. It's almost just those 3 throughout the whole thing, and it's about the making of a film per se, and it has kind of a Bullets Over Broadway vibe, but maybe not as bawdy or over the top. About kind of 3 very different personalities rehearsing to make this film that is a lot of fun and was kind of a bright light in the darkness of all the very heavy material at this film festival. Penelope Cruz won Best Actress for Almodóvar's Parallel Mothers, but to me, this was kind of the more interesting and insane role for her that I wish she had gotten that distinction for this. Number 3 was in the Orizzonti Extra section. I saw it kind of on a whim because I just saw that Alexander Rodiansky, a notable Russian producer, had made it, and it stars a woman that I haven't seen in anything for a minute, even though she does work steadily. Xenia Rappaport, I believe is her name. I know her from the film The Double Hour. It's called Mama, I'm Home. It also stars Yuri Borisov, who in my top 10 is Captain Volkonov Escaped. I really liked as well. He's kind of like the up-and-coming poster boy for Russian art house films. Also about deep state corruption. She's told her son has died in Syria. She doesn't believe he's dead. She rails against the system. And then all of a sudden this man shows up saying, hey mom, I'm home, but it's clearly not her kid. But she's like, basically it's like the state forcing her to shut her up, and kind of the interesting things that happen out of that. I really liked. Then Lost Illusions.
Number two,
directed by Xavier Giannoli. It went home empty-handed, but really a fascinating look at kind of, fake news is as old as the printing press. It was based on an 1843 serial novel by Honoré de Balzac, who, if you've never read him and you love literature, I thought Giannoli did a fantastic job of retaining Balzac's wit and a sense of his prose, because we have Xavier Dolan narrating throughout that kind of drills down into that. It's as far from a stiff costume drama as you can get, because you would think it might be that, but I don't know. I just think everything about it, it's witty, it's bitchy, it's despairing. I loved it. And number one, after lots of contemplation, I think is Paul Schrader's The Card Counter. And I think that's more after seeing a second viewing of it too. Also dealing with kind of the fallout of trauma from this man that served and was served in the military, and then of course an 8-year prison sentence for what happened in Abu Ghraib, and how he's trying to escape and get away from that. I think Oscar Isaac is quite good in it. I love that Paul Schrader has kind of resumed some authority over his career after first reformed, and I think this it is very much in his vein of filmmaking. Final Shot very much reminds me of the finale of American Gigolo, another favorite of mine of his. But yeah, there you go.
All right. Anything else?
The film that won the Golden Lion was Audrey Diwan's sophomore film, Happening, which it is not my top 10, but is a very well-made film, a great lead performance. This opened at the festival just as the Supreme Court ruling to uphold Texas's decision about on abortion came through. So I think a lot of the discussions I've seen about it so far, how it's more of a political statement, especially after Julie Ducournau won Palm this year, and we finally are seeing kind of women filmmakers snatch trophies for the first time at these major film festivals. But even if it's a political statement or not, I think because I saw everything in the competition, and I think that was a fine choice. I was expecting Jane Campion's Power of the Dog to take it, but there we have it.
All done?
I guess if I'm being sanctioned, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.